Blessings, 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 blessings. I pray that all is well. I pray that all is well. I want to welcome you to the Living Meat Nugget. My name is Apostle AleciaBiggers, and on this station we meet every Tuesday and every Thursday at 6:15 Eastern Standard Time. And so if you're ready to grow, you tired of you ready to deal with you and deal with the elephant in the room, this is the station for you. But if you're not ready to do no work, you ain't gonna like what I'm saying. And so I do not own the rights to this music. I do not own the rights to this music. This is Ruach prophetic instrumental music. Ruach prophetic instrumental music. And so for the month of December, my local church, we've been talking about the gift of giving, and we're talking about giving in relationships. We're talking about giving love, giving favor. Sunday, we talk about giving trust. And today, we're going to talk about if the relationship robs you of your peace, you need to run. I want to say that again. If the relationship robs you of your peace, you need to run. Apostle, why do I need to run if the relationship robs me of peace? Can I tell you, this is where we got to get to a place and we got to stop assuming that we know how to be in a relationship. This is where we must take the time to educate ourselves and get some education. The Bible says my people are perishing because they lack knowledge. This is where we got to begin to understand that the Bible says God would give us peace who mind that is stayed on him. And so when we know that our God is a God of peace, you got to understand when you're in any kind of relationship, whether or not it's family, whether or not it's romantic, whether or not it's church people, co-workers, friends, no matter what the relationship is, if the relationship robs you of your peace, you want to run from it. Why? Because you got to understand that that person is, number one, they're either dysfunctional and they're toxic and they like doing what they're doing, or either they are ignorant and they are unaware that they are toxic and that they're dysfunctional. I can talk about it from blessings from both perspectives because I was dysfunctional and I was toxic. And the thing is, I did not know I was toxic because the people who I hung around, growing up in a family where people hollering, yelling, cussing, fussing and fighting, that was a norm for me. And so therefore, I thought that's the way every family was. And so when I started trying to work on myself to be a better person, and when I started being around more healthy people, I began to start recognizing they were not yelling. They were not hollering. They were not fussing and fighting, calling each other out of their names. I recognized they was not doing it, and I began to feel uncomfortable because I began to recognize, wait a minute, why am I doing this? And these people are talking about a heated conversation, and nobody didn't yell, nobody didn't disgrade anybody. People was respecting one another. They listened to what the other person said. So it showed me that I had some issues. It showed me that I was toxic. And I realized that the reason why I was toxic, because I felt like I was not being heard. I felt like I was being ignored. I felt like I was being disrespected. And so you got to understand, when a person is robbing you of your peace, guess what? You dealing with a person that don't respect you. You dealing with a person that does not honor you. You dealing with a person that they're not respecting who you are, and they trying to keep you in a hostile place. And sometimes people are so dysfunctional, they want to keep you hostile. They want to keep you chaotic. You know why? Because that's all they know. And anything that's trying to take them out of that environment, they feel uncomfortable, or they feel like they losing themselves. But you got to begin to understand, if you telling the person, listen, I don't like how you talking to me. I don't like how you raising your voice. I don't like when you get mad, you call me all kind of names. Or when you get mad, people start hitting below the belt. When you know that they get upset with you and they start hitting below the belt, they start bringing up the past. They start throwing stuff in your face. They start trying to compare you to other people. You're dealing with a toxic individual, and you got to begin to know how to recognize, because it's where the enemy is trying to bring you and trying to keep you in a place of toxicity. You got to understand, you got to know how to maintain blessings to you. You got to know how to maintain your peace, because if anything robbed you of your peace, they robbing you of the spirit of the living God. Bless you. You got to know that God is a spirit. God is a spirit of peace. I want to give you a scripture. He said in Isaiah 26, he says, you will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. You got to know that anybody that God gives you, anybody that God brings in your life, if God genuinely brought that person to your life, they're not going to give you any chaos. They're not going to give you any hurt. They're not going to give you any kind of pain. And so when you find people giving you pain, people giving you chaos, people giving you confusion, people giving you dishonor, disrespect, you're dealing with a dysfunctional person. And when you start to tell that person, and if that person is not trying to make any kind of change, this person is trying to train you to stay in chaos. They're trying to train you to be toxic. They're trying to train you to be dysfunction. And so many times people will try to train you to be dysfunction. They'll try to train you to be toxic because they don't want to grow. You'll be so surprised how many people do not want to grow. People love to see you at a chaotic place. They don't like to see you going any higher than them. Sometimes people feel left alone. They feel like you're leaving them. They feel like you better than them because you don't want to act the same. You hear me say that all the time. When I start working on myself, people that I know, they say, I like the old Alicia better. I like you better how you was. You know why? Because that's the part of me where I didn't care, where I yell, I holler, I was disrespectful. I didn't pay any attention about what I said. I did not care. And guess what? I was hurting people and didn't realize that's why I was in broken relationships. I was in broken relationships because I was feeding their toxicity. I was feeding their dysfunctional. And the moment that I made up my mind and say, you know what, I'm going to stop this. I want better in life. I want relationships that are going to be healthy. I want relationships where we can grow, that I'm going to respect you and I want you to respect me. I want relationships that, you know what, that you are important to me and I want to be important to you. And so I begin to look at it totally different. And you got to begin to understand, you teach people how to treat you. You teach people and train them. You may not open up your mouth and say nothing, but when you start taking a lot of abuse, can I tell you, especially when we're talking about dealing with mental abuse, this is the type of abuse that's the most dangerous one. Because you look good on the outside. Your hair is done. Me and you look cool. You look all right. But in your mind, hurtful things have been said to you, especially when it comes from somebody that you respect, especially when it comes from somebody, a loved one, somebody who you wouldn't think they would say that to you, especially when it comes from somebody who you love, somebody who means a lot to you. It really hurts. And guess what? So them words that they speak to you, when they stop speaking, you still hear the words in your mind, and that's why it's called emotional abuse. And so therefore, sometimes you can be so dysfunctional that when you're around a person of peace and you so chaotic, it's just too quiet. I don't like this. That's an indication that you got some issues going on. You got some unclean spirits in you, because here it is, you don't like the peace. You don't like the quietness. You got some people, they just like confusion. They like fussing. They like the cussing. They like the fight. They like the name calling. They like that kind kind of drama, because that's the way that that person has been trained. And so therefore they feel uncomfortable when they're around people that are healthy, people that are talking, rationalizing, people that are honoring and respecting. That person will feel like a duck out of water, because in their mind they think something is wrong. I can't be around them. They acting too uppity. They act like they better than somebody else. No, this is what that person is saying, that you know what, I want peace. I don't want to be you. You got to understand that God will put you around people to help you, to teach you and train you how to talk to another person, how to respect another person, because we just automatically act like we know how to do this. No, we don't. You got to be trained. You got to be around people that even when you're dealing with a heated conversation, you got to learn to listen to that person, because sometimes when we so offended, we're constantly in attack mode. How do I know that? Because I used to be like that. When you're constantly at attack mode, you're going to constantly, because you feel like you got to defend yourself, and you're not listening to what the person is trying to tell you. And so when you're not listening to the person, what you're doing is you're not valuing the relationship that you have with that person. Because if you value that relationship, you're going to listen to that person. You got to understand that when we talk to God, Holy Spirit, he listens to us. Even before he talks, he listens to us cry, he listened to us yell, and once we get all that out, then Holy Spirit will begin to minister to us. And we got to understand that's why he said, you love me with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, because Holy Spirit is a gentleman. He's teaching us how to be in a relationship. And so many times we're so in a rush to be in relationships when we don't know how to relate to one another. We don't know how to talk to one another. We don't know how to respect one another. And when you don't know how to respect a person, this is why you have so many dysfunctional relationships, and you are always clashing. When you find people always clashing, always bumping heads, because there's some dishonor, there's some disrespect there. And if you really value that relationship, you're going to try to fix it. You're going to say, wait a minute, we shouldn't be like this. We shouldn't let the enemy get us like this. But when you're dealing with a dysfunctional person, they don't want to hear it. When you're dealing with a toxic person, they don't want to hear it. And that's why I say you got to run. You got to run. You got to maintain your peace. You got to choose to say, you know what, I'm not going to argue about this. No, I'm not going to fuss about this. No, I'm not going to go to, the Bible tells us not to go to bed angry, because you know what it is we bring on a spirit of darkness. We bring on, because it looks like in the natural everything is fine, but you bring on the spirit of hatred. You bring on the spirit of darkness. And this is where demonic spirits begin to reside in a person. And so many times we give off a low vibration. When you give off a low vibration, what I mean vibration, you give off a low energy, you're drawing demonic spirits to you. And so when you're drawing these demonic spirits to you, you're going to draw negative activity to you. And so when you are a child of God, you got to know how to open up your mouth, and you got to know how to protect your peace. Even if you got to separate yourself from somebody, even if you've got to go in another room, you got to go and take a walk. You got to go and listen to some music. You need to go pray. You got to know how to maintain your peace, because when, like I said, when you're in relationships, you want to make sure that your relationships are growing. Can I tell you, growing is not just saying, oh, we got this house, we got this car, or we got this money, or we doing good. No, growing is, can you talk together and y'all respect one another? Can you honor one another? Can you begin to say some deep stuff that will offend the other, that will make the other person that they won't like it, but they respect you enough to listen to you? Because if you got a person that loves you enough to listen to you, you got a person that you got their undivided attention. And this is what we got to start working on this. We got to begin to say, you know what, can I be truthful with you? Can I talk to you? Can I tell you this right here? What you did, you hurt me. What you did, what you said, you know what, this made me feel some kind of way. Well, I don't care what you said. I ain't standing by what you said. You already dealing with a person that don't want to grow. You're dealing with it. You got to know how to recognize people that don't want to grow, because when you're trying to tell them, you're trying to get them at a place where they don't want to hear what you got to say. You got to understand you're dealing with a toxic person. You're dealing with an immature person, because that's what immature people do. Because the Bible says, how can two walk together unless we agree? When we get to a place where we cannot agree, we are dealing with a person where the enemy have came in, and now they're listening to the lies of the enemy. They listening, now they're in their feelings. Now they're in their emotions. When we got this saying at my church, I am not my feelings. I am not my emotions. I can dislike you, but I still got to love you. And if you need something, I still should be able to be at a place where I help you. But when we get to a place where we get to the place we acting funny, we acting shady, and we talking about we love the Lord, but then yet we acting funny, we acting crazy, you're dealing with an immature person. And this is why we see a lot of our relationships are jacked up. A lot of our relationships with our parents, with the children, husband and wife, people in the church, co-workers, because people have issues. And it's so easy to get in your mood instead of listening to the truth. Because sometimes when people are not ready to grow up, it's so easy to get an attitude. It's so easy to throw shade. It's so easy to act funny. And this is where you got to understand, if a person is not willing to talk it out, if a person is not willing to listen and say, you know what, me and you are grown, we should be able to talk this out. And you know what, why are you yelling at me? This is where you got to go back. Why are you yelling? If I'm talking to you, why are you yelling? Why are you? Well, this way I talk. No, that ain't the way I talk. That's not how we do this. Because if you value that person, you ain't going to be doing what you're doing. You're going to respect that person. And this is what we got to get to a place where we got to know that communication. That's it, woman of God. Communication is the key. If I can't communicate with you, how can I have a relationship with you? If I can't talk with you, how can I have a relationship with you? If I can't tell you the truth, how can I have a relationship with you? And so many times people want to form a relationship with other people, but if you can't even form a relationship with your spouse, with your parents, how in the world you talking about you're going to form a relationship with somebody else when the Bible tells us that your first ministry is your household? And this is why we got so many of our relationships are suffering, so many of our relationships, because we don't know how to talk to one another, and we just feel like, I feel like this. Just because you feel like that does not make it right. Just because you got an attitude don't make it right. This is where you got to let Holy Spirit deal with you, and you got to ask Holy Spirit, is this right how I'm treating this person? Is this right how I'm talking to this person? And this is where you got to step back, because if you trying to talk to them and they still want to have their attitude, they still want to be mean, they still want to act funny, this is where you got to step back and you say, you know what, I got to run from this, because this right here is trying to cost me my peace. And this is where you got to step back. If that mean I got to stop talking to you on the phone, if that mean I got to stop dealing with you, that means guess what, I'm going to do what I got to do, because I'm dealing with a person who's not trying to maintain peace. The Bible said, how do you know, he said, those that are my, how do you know those that walk in the love of God? Those that are my brother, those that are my sister. Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my sister's keeper? This is what we got to learn to maintain peace. Sometimes in families, we got to be able to be at a place where we can tell one another how we feel, and people stop getting offended. This is where sometimes people start manipulating. You doing this to me. You hurt me. You making me feel some kind of way. This is where we got to stop being manipulative. We got to stop acting childish. We got to stop being immature. This is what we got to understand. God wants us to grow. He said, when I was a child, I act like a child. I thought like a child. He said, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And this is what you got to understand. We got to put away childish things. We got to put away the bickering, put away the mumbling and complaining, put away the childish ways, put away the acting funny, put away that, you know, I don't want to talk to you no more. Leave me alone. You made me mad. You said this. Man, this is childish. We got grown people acting like this. We got parents acting like this. We got people in the church acting like this, because we act like we cannot talk to a person. We act like we can't take anything. And what gets on my nerves, you'll have people that sit up there and take something from somebody who don't mean them any good, but somebody who just say one thing to them, they ready to bite their head off. And not understanding, here it is, the person that you should be saying something to, you don't want to say nothing to them, but then here it is, this is a person who you need to talk to, but you don't want to talk to them. Oh, I can just X them out of my life. This is where you got to be at a place, and you got to recognize, and you know, when we talking about deliver me from me, you got to love yourself, even from your family members. Yes, I love you, but you try to take my top, you try to take my peace. And guess what? I'm gonna say, hey, how you doing? And I'm gonna keep it moving. You know what? I ain't gonna let you into my life. I ain't gonna let you into my circle. I ain't gonna let you into a close place with me to maintain my peace. When you know somebody that always want to fuss, they always want to start an argument. Can I talk to you? I'm good. That's how you maintain your peace. You mean I can't talk to you? I'm good. I don't even want to talk to you about it. Because you already know every time you talk to them, you got to notice the patterns with people. People will show you their patterns. When they keep doing the same thing, you know every time they talk to you, it end up in the argument. Every time they say something to you, it always some mess started. So therefore, you know when you see them coming, can I say something? No. I can't say nothing. I thought you supposed to be a child of God. I am a child of God. That's why I say I don't want to say nothing, because I got to maintain my peace. I ain't gonna let you worry me. I ain't gonna let you stress me out. Even parents, you got to, even with your children, when your children get to a place, sometimes they grown and they get like they think they know it all. You know what? I ain't gonna let you rob my peace. God bless you. Just like how we learn, we got to let them learn. Just because sometimes we try to get in it because we don't want our children to have to go through stuff that we went through. But sometimes they have hard heads. Sometimes they want to do what they want to do. And you got to step back and you got to maintain your peace. I'm not going to get upset trying to get you to help you figure it out and you don't want to figure it out. I'm not going to try to force you to see it my way. And when you sit up there and I see you going the wrong way and I'm trying to tell you and you telling me you got it, let me learn it my way. Guess what? You need to step back, maintain your peace, and let them do what they need to do. Because this was just like how we grew up and we learned our lesson. Sometimes they got to learn it the hard way because they don't want to listen. I tell kids all the time, teenagers all the time, young people, God gives you parents because guess what? God is trying to let you know you don't have to make the same mistakes your parents made. But when you get to a place where your parents is trying to talk to you, and you don't want to listen, like I tell mine, you may not like what I say, but the thing is, listen to it. Listen, because I've been here on earth longer than you. I can show you some things. I can tell you some things. But sometimes when they get to a place where they think that they know it all, you got to step back and you got to let them get it. You got to let them hit the wall the way that they hit it. They need to hit it because I guarantee you they gonna see it. And this is what we got to begin to understand. You got to maintain your peace. Don't wreck your brain trying to get somebody to see something, trying to get somebody to make things easy for a person if they don't want to see it. Maintain your peace because God is saying, I'm giving you this. So many times we like, my household chaotic, my household crazy. You know, God said, I would keep you in perfect peace. Everybody else can be in chaos. Everybody else could be fussing and fighting. God want to have you at a place that you're at peace, that you're not allowing everybody else dysfunction to come in and to attack you. You got to know how to maintain your mindset. You got to know how to maintain where you at and not get caught up in the craziness, not get caught up in he say, she say, and they did this, and you ain't do this. You ain't did. No. Sometimes you got to step back and let people say what they got to say. Even that's when sometimes this is where you got to say, God, guard my heart. This is what you got to say, God, I need you to keep me. Because when you're trying to maintain your peace and when the devil is using another person, this is when the other person will do stuff to try to hurt you. This is what the other person will do stuff to try to push your button because they trying to bring you on a level where they at. And you got to understand it's your job to maintain your peace. You got to know it's something that God released in the heavens for you. And so now the enemy is trying to use them to bring you out of the spiritual realm and to bring you into a place of flesh. You got to understand when you're walking in the spirit, you got to know how to stay in the spirit. It don't mean that it's easy. No, sometimes it's very hard because sometimes people are flipping the mouth, they jazz it in the mouth, and they want to say ugly stuff to try to hurt your feelings. And you got to know how to let them say and say, you know what, I'm going to turn this over to the Lord. I'm going to let the Lord deal with this. I ain't even going to try to say nothing. I'm going to let God fight my battle. This is where you got to let them talk, let them say, because sometimes, like I say, yes, it hurts your feelings. Yes, because this comes from people who you love. This comes from people who you like, you know what, why they doing this? They know they shouldn't be acting like this. But again, people let the devil use them. And that's why I'm saying you got to know how to maintain your peace and you got to know how to run. What I mean, literally run, it's not just run away, but I'm saying run away from that situation, run away from that conversation, run away from that environment. So that means you got to walk outside. You got to go in the room and shut the door, If you got to say, you know what, let's agree to disagree, and they want to keep on with the attitude, you got to get to a place, you know what, you got it. and move on with your business. What I'm doing, I'm guarding my peace. Because can I tell you, people that don't have any peace, these are people who are sick. That what I mean, they sick. They dealing with spiritual attacks. They dealing with frustration. They dealing with disappointment. They dealing with spirits in their body where the enemy is looking for somebody to say, you know what, I need somebody to use. And guess what? They waving their hand. You can use me. You can use me. And not understanding the enemy is really using them. And so many times people are not aware that they're being used from the enemy, because when you open up your mouth, and every time you open up your mouth, your words are hurting people. Your words are stirring up confusion, or nobody can't tell you nothing. This is a generation of people. Can't nobody tell you nothing. We know so much. Here it is, you got saved on Monday. Now Friday, you trying to tell the pastor what to do. Here it is, now you the child, and you trying to tell the mama what to do, because here it is, you think you know so much. This is the type of generation that we live in, but they can't handle stress. They can't handle things in life because they know. This is why I say you got to maintain your peace. You got to maintain your peace, because the devil is looking for anybody to get you. He's looking for anybody he can to pull you out of the will of God. And you got to understand, you got to know that a blessing is on the rise. You got to know that God got blessings in store for you, and the enemy is doing whatever he can because he wants you to say some ugly stuff. He wants you to stoop down on that level, and he now wants you to be upset. He wants you to call them names. He wants you to say ugly things to them, because if you do that, now the enemy have moved you from the spirit realm, and now you in the flesh. Now the enemy got both of y'all fighting, saying ugly stuff, him below the belt, bringing up things of the past, now being dishonorable, being disrespectful, and now the devil sit back laughing. Then you sitting up there, you did all this praying, all this fasting, all these declarations, and you wonder what's going on. It's because the enemy got into that person. This is why you got to understand, the enemy looks for the weakest link. He looks for the person that's unhappy, the person that's frustrated, the person that's disappointed, and he calls something to go wrong with them, and then he will use that person to mess with somebody else's peace. Can I tell you, the devil will use me, he'll use you, he'll use your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife. He don't care who he uses. And this is why I say you got to know how to maintain a healthy relationship, because you got people talking about they want to be in a relationship. How you want to be in a relationship and you bring mess? How you want to be in a relationship and you bring arguing? How do you want to be in a relationship when you bring toxicity? Don't nobody want to be in that kind of relationship. And this is what we got to be able to recognize. No, folks don't want to be with you because you bring this type of toxicity. And then people think, folks just ain't right, folks fake. No, folks don't want to be in all this hollering and yelling stuff all the time. And this is where you got some people, they just at a place where they want to be in a relationship how they are without working on themselves. That's why we talk about deliver me from me, because that's when you got to be able to recognize, is that me? Am I the one that brings chaos? Am I the one that robs people of their peace? Am I the one that's always yelling? Am I the one that's fussing? And you got to ask yourself, get to the root. Is that what I do? And this is where you got to be honest with yourself. Why do you do what you do? Well, I want them to hear me. Well, if the only way you can yell and you say that's the only way you're going to get your voice heard, something is wrong. Somewhere you need inner healing and deliverance, because somewhere you don't feel important. Somewhere you don't feel honored. Somewhere you don't feel respected. Can I tell you, if you don't feel respected yourself, guess what? You ain't gonna feel respected from me. If you feel dishonored, it's because you don't honor yourself. This is why we got to make sure we dealing with ourselves, because when we dealing with ourselves, I'm learning to honor myself. I'm learning to respect myself. Why? How do I do this? Because I'm alone by myself. I don't have no music on. I'm not watching TV. I'm listening to my thoughts. I'm listening to what's going on in my head. I'm listening to how I talk to people. I'm listening to I'm watching how I treat people. And you got to understand, how do people feel when they're in your presence? Do they feel important? Do they feel respected? Do they feel honored? Because if people, oh, you just a bee, you just a slut, you just a hoe. So that's telling me you around people that dishonor you, so you feel dishonored yourself because you think that that's all right. No, I'm not finna be with nobody talking to me like that. No, you ain't finna call me no bee. You ain't finna call me no hoe. You ain't finna raise your voice and talk to me, because I'm finna walk away from you, because I'm saying, if I'm not raising my voice at you, why are you raising your voice at me? because I understand I had to work to get this way because, like I said, I was toxic. I was dysfunctional. I was the one always raising my voice and we going at it, me and whoever I was talking to. And I ain't had no problem with it because I thought that's how it was. Until once I start working on myself and I said, you know, when I start being around people and they was talking to one another and they were listening, and I'm like, I don't do that. And I'm like, I need some help. I got to give me some counseling. I got to give me some coaching because why am I doing all this stuff? And then too, I grew up in a household where they was yelling and hollering. So a lot of the stuff we feel is because are very powerful. That's why the Bible says death and life is in the power of your tongue. And this is what we got to begin to understand, that, like I was saying earlier, I grew up in a household where people were toxic. They was yelling, cussing, and you know what? Excuse me, little heifer going on, calling little girls heifers. You just a whiny bee and all this kind of stuff. So when you hear people talking like that, it's automatic dishonor. It's automatic disrespect. And guess what? If you don't know how to get delivered, you don't get delivered from that thinking, from that speaking, guess what? You'll grow up doing the same thing. And that's why I tell people, you got to get to a place that you got to get with somebody that's going to help you, because you got to realize if you saying I want a healthy relationship, but then you ain't working on yourself, because so many times I'm going to just go and get prayer. Yeah, you're going to get prayer, but Holy Spirit gives you the strength for you to change. He gives you the strength to go and say, hey, I need some help. I got some toxic issues. I'm dysfunctional. I need some counseling. I need some deliverance. I need some coaching. He gives you the strength to deal with this, because let's be honest, a lot of people don't want to be honest with themselves to say, I need help. I tell people, if we're going to do anything, if I do my coaching class or if I'm doing one-on-one deliverance, if you do not recognize that you got a problem, if you don't recognize that you jacked up in some issue, you got to be able to chat. You got to be able to say, I'm jacked up. I had to recognize and say, God, I'm jacked up. Because can I tell you, Jesus came for the person that was jacked up. And that's when I got happy about it. He said, I came for those that were sick. I didn't come for those that was well. I came for those that were sick. I came for those that need a savior. I came for those that saying that, you know, I got some trauma. I got some hurt. I got some pain in my life. Jesus came for those kind of people. And you can't think no one service going to get it. No, this is where you got to get with somebody that's going to hold you accountable. This is where you're going to have to get with your coach, where somebody can tell you the truth about you. We're dealing with a generation of people that can't handle the truth about them. They can't handle the truth that you got a Jezebel spirit. You can't handle the truth that you jealous hearted. This way you got to be honest. Yes, you're right. I am jealous hearted. I remember when I first went through deliverance, and they was telling me, they said, you got a spirit of the little girl. I said, what you mean the spirit? Here it is. I'm a pastor and everything. They said, you got a spirit of the little girl. I said, what you mean the spirit of the little girl? They said, when somebody say something you don't like, you fold your arms, and they say, and then you'll say, don't talk to me no more. I ain't gonna talk to you. They said, do you do that? And I was like, yes. They said, that's the spirit of the little girl. And I had to realize, oh my God, I need some help. Because time I got bad with you, I did fold my arm. Oh, I ain't going to talk to them no more. And that was little kids. I'm not your friend no more. And that's the spirit of the little girl. I could have played it off. Oh, I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm an apostle. I'm a pastor. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I need help. If I'm going to be the best that I can be, if I'm going to help other people, I need to make sure that I'm getting the best. So I had to own up. Yes, that's me. Yes, cast that spirit up out of me. So I had to start working on myself. So when somebody started making me mad and that spirit wanted to come on me, oh, no. Now I said, Lord, help me, Jesus. Help me better hear what they saying. Help me, Lord. No, I ain't going to cut these people off because they telling me something that I don't want to hear. I had to be willing to hear what the other person was saying. And I was seeing what they were saying. Was it true or was it not true? And sometimes I was getting offended because some things was true. And just because I didn't want to deal with it, it was easy for me to say, I ain't gonna talk to you no more. But I had to realize if I'm gonna be delivered, I had to say, you know what? I do that. Yep, I do raise my voice. Yep, I do cut people off when I don't want to hear what they got to say. Yep, I do holler when I don't want to hear what you got to say. I had to realize that was me, because I'm saying it's time for me to get free. And you got to understand, when I start learning how to get free, guess what? I was able at a place to maintain my peace. I was at a place to be at peace with me. And so therefore I can handle constructive criticism. So when I talk to my pastor, and if it's something she need to rebuke me about, she'll say, Apostle, I feel like this right here. I say, yes, ma'am. Now here it is. I was like, you know what? I had thought I repented of it, but Apostle, if you see something in me and you see it there, yes, ma'am, I'm gonna deal with it in prayer. Why? Because I don't see everything. And if God is putting somebody in my life to help me to see me and help me to maintain my peace, why wouldn't I say, okay, I'm gonna deal with it. I ain't see what you said, but you know what? I'm gonna deal with it, because if you say you saw it, I trust the God in you that I don't see everything. I'm gonna deal with it. Now we got people can't handle weekend water. Oh, the devil is a lie. Ain't nothing in me. Oh, I'm all right. You judging yourself according to yourself. This is what we need people to help us, to show us, to get these spirits out of us. And so many times, this is why we can't go to sleep at night, because your peace have been taken. This is why you could be resting and that person come or they say something to you and now you can't even rest. Now you can't even eat your food. Now you can't even go to sleep because what they said. I can't believe they said this. I can't believe they did that. You allowed that person to rob you of your peace. You allowed them to rob you of your peace. And this is where we got to get to a place to understand, if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, you got to know how to relate to me. If you don't want to relate to me, I'm not going to be in a relationship with you. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I might can't handle you and my family. Yeah, we may go to the same church, but I'm not going to allow you to come into a place for you to hurt me. Do you not understand? You got to guard your heart. If you don't guard your heart, who else going to guard it for you? If you don't guard your heart, people would come and say all kind of ugly stuff to you to keep you at a place, because guess what? Misery loves company. Hurt people hurt other people. And you got to know how to understand that can be your family member, your loved one, your spouse. You got to know how to guard your peace, because people are so hurtful. People are so wounded. Guess what? They want you to be at the same place they at. But I'm just at a place. I'm going to fight for my peace. I don't know about you, but I'm going to fight for mine. I'm going to make sure that I maintain my peace. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to allow nobody to rob me of my peace, because real relationship, that's how you know you are in a God-ordained relationship. When that person keeps you at a place of peace, you and that person can have an uncomfortable conversation. Y'all can have a heated conversation, but you still be at peace. You may not like what they said, but you say, you know what, but you're telling the truth. And guess what? I love you for telling me the truth. You know what? And it'll cause you to respect that person. It'll cause you to be at a place where you say, I appreciate that person. Because how many times can you say you got people in your life that would tell you the truth? People will lie to you. And they're just, because they just want to be in your presence. They just want to be in your circle. But to have people that tell you the truth, oh no, that's priceless. Because we're dealing with a generation of people, they don't know how to be friendly. They don't know how to stay in healthy relationships. They only like chaos. And so if you got a friend, you want to keep that friend. You got a healthy relationship. You want to keep that relationship healthy. And you want to be able to say what you need to say to that person and say, okay, baby, you know what? I forgive you. You forgive me. Let's do this. Okay, mom. Okay, dad. I don't like what you're saying, but I know what you're saying. What you're telling me is right. I know what you're trying to help me. I appreciate you. That's how you maintain peace. That's right. The way that you say it. That's right. Because even sometimes as parents, the Bible tells us not to provoke our children. And so therefore we want to make sure that we don't hit below the belt. We want to make sure that we say it in a respectful way. We say what we need to say, but understanding that we're not going to provoke, we're not going to cause disrespect and dishonor, but you speak the truth and speak it in love. This is what you got where people can't handle the truth. And that's why we want to be at a place, and like you say, been holding on to hurt, pain. This way you got to let that stuff go. This way, if you're going to be in a relationship, and that's what we're going to talk about, you got to be quickly to forgive. How can you be in a relationship and you keep on, well, you remember when you did that? You remember when you did that? No. You see, you're trying to take my peace. You trying to take my peace, and you trying to take me back to an old place. You ain't dealing with that same person. I ain't that same person no more, and you ain't finna take me back to that place. You got to know how to recognize the spirit that's in another person, because people will take your peace. And you got to know how to maintain. Nope, I ain't finna go there. I'm gonna let you go by yourself. I'm gonna let you go by yourself. I'm not gonna do it. So in saying that, I'm getting ready to close. And so what I need you all to do is, I need you to get to a place, if you ready for growth. January 2025, the first Saturday, I'm getting ready to start my new mentorship class. I'm telling you, if you ready and you ready to be coached, you ready to be honest with yourself, join me. Look at the flyer on my page. We will meet at Zoom for 12 weeks for 2 hours. That's it. And I promise you, if you be faithful and you be committed to it, God is going to change your life. God is going to do something with you in your life, but you got to be willing to work. Let me coach you, because guess what? I'm coaching to you what I had to do. You know what? Just by me being the leader. No. It's called Deliver Me From Me. That's why you see my picture on there. You know what? Because you're looking at somebody who is dealing with self-hatred. You're looking at somebody dealing with the Jezebel spirit, dealing with the spirit of witchcraft, dealing with the spirit of insecurity, dealing with the spirit of low self-esteem, dealing with the spirit of jealousy. These are things that God delivered me from, and that's what qualifies me. And so, because what I'm telling you, what I'm teaching you is what God had to teach me. That's what qualifies me to be able to teach it to you. And so if you ready for change, you ready to put in the work, is it going to be easy? No. But you know what? You are worth fighting for. You got to be at a place that you're willing to invest in you, to say, you know what? I'm ready to go to this next level. I'm ready to do this. If you're ready to do this, let's do it. Join me January 2025. I got the mentorship flyer pinned up on my page. If you have not got my book, What You Don't Know, please, I got it pinned up on my TikTok shop, and it's at Amazon. What You Don't Know will hurt you. This is a book of deliverance. You got to understand, a lot of churches are not teaching deliverance. And so therefore, this is where you got to take it upon yourself to know what deliverance means, to know how to deliver yourself. I'm not going to wait on somebody. Well, I'm going to just wait no, I'm going to do what I need to do to help me, because you got some people are not helping people. Some people are going to church and they're mad at God, saying, why am I not delivered? Because some churches are not teaching it. This is why I teach what I teach, to help you, because I was at a church and I'm like, Lord, why I'm not being delivered? Because I was at a place where they was not teaching deliverance. I was at a place where they didn't know how to deliver. So I had to go to different schools, go to different classes, go to different training just to get delivered. And so this is why I put what I put in the book, so that you can be familiar with learning how to recognize spirits, learning how to look and find spirits within yourself. This is where you got to know how to do your part, and you ain't walking around waiting on somebody else to do it for you. God want to anoint you. You don't have to be no apostle to do this. You don't have to be a pastor to do this. You don't have to be a minister to do this. This is for those who are believers. If you are a child of God, you are responsible to know how to deliver yourself and to be at a place that you know how to deliver other people. Don't tell me I'm gonna wait till you come to my church. No, I go to sometime at family member's house. I took somebody to deliverance in the kitchen. I took somebody to deliverance. I was getting my hair braided. You ought to be able to know how to display God wherever you go. And so this is where you got to be willing to prepare yourself and to become that person God has called and ordained for you to be. And so as I close out, I will see you all Thursday. This is Apostle AleciaBiggers, your deliverance coach. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. You all be blessed, and share this word with somebody else. Do your part. You don't want to be the one to just keep it to yourself. You want to be able to help people. I told God, if you raise me up, I'm going to help other people. You raise me up, I'm going to share with other people. That's why I do what I do, because I remember when I needed help, and I said, if you send somebody to help me, God, I promise you, I'm going to help other people. And that's what I do. And so I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I will see y'all next week. Be blessed.